this truth, we say yes, yes.
Yes, yes.
To this knowing, to this affirmation, we say yes, yes.
Yes, yes.
Well, good morning, Celebration Spiritual Center.
Good morning.
So good to be here with you. It's so good to see all of you. It feels good up in here. I want to dig right in. I have some things that we're going to talk about this morning. We have a 5 Sunday month, so we've been digging deep into this series, Stay Woke, The Path of Self-Realization, and we've been using Autobiography of a Yogi, the book by Paramahansa Yogananda, which chronicles his life and the beautiful things that he was able to do and bring on this earth. And we started with week 1, Always Innocent, looking at the fact that even as a child, when he was about 7 or 8 years old, he was already demonstrating such amazing faith and already doing amazing things. And what I talked about there is that we see children doing amazing things and we say, oh yeah, that's childlike faith. And it suggests that we don't have that anymore because we're adults. But the truth is, we're always innocent, just like children. And so it's just as children can innocently believe something and it comes to be, so we have that opportunity to still remain innocent and believe that our best is yet to come. In week 2, so we prayed, now what? There's so many things that are happening in our country, and particularly in this month with the hurricanes, the wildfires, and the political climate. We hear so often thoughts and prayers being sent out, but of course our politicians are then voting in ways that are counter to those thoughts and prayers. And so we talked about first what prayer really is, because many times when folks are saying they're going to pray, they're really hoping or wishing. They're not actually praying in a way that something would actually change. But even after we pray, then how do we stand in the world, and what are the things that we do? And so we looked at the relationship between Yogananda and Gandhi. He dedicates a chapter to his relationship with Gandhi and recognizing that Gandhi's movement was a spiritual movement, but it wasn't just a mountaintop praying in the lotus position movement, but it was actually taking that and using his spirituality as a catalyst for change, and that's what we must do as well. In week 3, training your guru. I looked at the life of Yogananda and recognizing that there was a powerful prophecy that was made about his life from the time he was born, that he was going to do something amazing. And even his guru, once he found his guru, after he had graduated from high school, told him the same thing. But there was a process that he went through, a 10-year process. And many times we can get frustrated because we know what the vision is for our lives. We know we have this strong idea about what it is we're supposed to be, do, or have. But then it seems like life throws us a curveball. But in many times, it's sort of like Mr. Miyagi when he told Daniel to wax on, wax off, not realizing that learning to wax on and wax off the car was actually teaching him what he needed to know, ultimately to be victorious at the end of the movie. And finally, last week, reverse the thought, reverse the condition. And I looked at the teaching from Yogananda's guru, Sri Yukteswar, where he talks about thought being a force. And the truth of life is that anything that we want to create, anything that's already created, is the result of a thought. And so if we want to change that condition, if we want to change that experience, we have to reverse the thought. And in the case of the stories that I shared, it was about reversing the thoughts around weight. And so we saw that weight loss can happen in an instant when you tap into this power. As a reminder, I've shared with everyone that there's a movie that chronicles the life of Yogananda. It's on Netflix. So if you have Netflix, I encourage you to check out this movie, Awake. It's only a few years old, but it's a great way to really learn more about Yogananda and learn more about his life and really get a clear sense of how he impacted the West, because he was the first Indian teacher or guru to actually come to the West and live here and plant his feet here. Others had come and given lectures and talks, but no one had actually come and live here. And so through his teachings and through his influence, things like yoga are just everyday, occurrences, and a lot of words that we think about and use. We can point back to his teaching, even things that are still recent in science, like the idea of neuroplasticity, that your brain is not fixed, that actually our brains can change and the pathways in our brains can change. We were taught for many years that, once you become an adult, that's just what you have is what you have, right? And you really can't change anything. We know differently now. Science knows differently now, that no matter how old you are, you can change how your brain works, and you can change even the shape of your brain. And it's a beautiful thing. Yogananda was talking about that in the 1920s, before science had gotten up to speed with that. So one of the things, if you do read the book, you'll see that there are a lot of stories of miracles. Even the stories that I shared last week, the idea of being able to think a thought and gain 50 pounds in one story in the matter of a day, or be able to think a thought and lose weight within 24 hours. That seems pretty amazing, right? And so there's many stories of miracles in the book. So often he's talking a lot about himself and his guru being able to materialize and dematerialize, right? Sort of like Star Trek, except they didn't need Scotty, right? And then there's a story that I love. It's my absolute favorite, and Pastor Yolanda knows this because I talk about this story all the time. There's the story of a Muslim brother. His name is Azam Khan. And he met this Indian saint who was very powerful. And he helped this Indian teacher. And so because he helped the teacher gave him a secret. He taught him a yogic practice that would essentially allow him to anything that he thought or desired, it would materialize instantly. Right? Pretty powerful. Would you all like that?
Yes.
You can think of $1 million and it would just appear. Right? Anything you want, it would appear, right? So unfortunately, this brother abused the power that he had been given. Right? And so he was using this to swindle people. He was using this to just do all kinds of mischief, right? But of course, because he was doing these things, he gained a following. People wanted to travel around with him and understand how he was doing these things. And so Yogananda's guru, Sri Yukteswar, talks about the time that he met this young brother, and he performed 4 miracles in front of him. And the 4th miracle is the one that really grabbed my attention, the one that I love. Because essentially he was asking everyone that day, think of something that you want, and he would prove the power that he had. And so finally he said, I'm so grateful for all of you being here. I want to provide a beautiful lunch. So everybody, put your order in. What do you want? So Sri Yukteswar's friend said, well, I want the best lunch possible. I want something that will cost 500 rupees, which was considered like an expensive meal. And so they started naming all the different curries and things that they wanted. And then immediately after everyone had put in their order, they heard like a sound, and then before them was food on gold plates. Piping hot food was materialized in that instant. Now I love this story for a couple reasons. One, because for me, having grown up in the Christian church, you always hear about Jesus and food, right? Jesus turned water into wine. Jesus multiplied the fishes and the loaves. And those I call those practical miracles, right? I love that. Like he was concerned about people eating, not just any kind of lofty miracles flying around or dematerializing and materializing. He recognized people need to eat, and so he manifested that in the instant. But the thing about when we read that in the Bible, it's like those are ancient stories that may or may not have happened, and they're tall tales, and many times they're really symbolic in the way that they're told. So I love to hear that there are stories from the 19th and 20th century where people were manifesting hot food in an instant, right? Placing their order, and here it was. And the story goes on, they enjoyed the food, it was amazing, it was delicious, it was the best food they ever had. And then when they got up, they were done eating, they heard another rumbling, and everything disappeared. Miraculous stories. Stories that could even seem too good to be true, but this book is filled with these miraculous stories. And so what I've come to understand is we're talking about staying woke. That being woke, the path of self-realization, being woke is awakened to the power that we really possess. Then being woke or self-realized means that we are miracle workers. If you are truly woke, if you're choosing to truly live woke, then you have the power, possibility, capability, and opportunity to perform miracles in and as your own life. And so I want to take us back to something I read last week, and also something that we used in the description of this series. Yogananda writes this: awake in God, true saints effect changes in this dream world by means of a will harmoniously attuned to the creative cosmic dreamer. So what he's saying is when we're awake in God, when we're truly woke, then we are able to affect change in this world. And I don't mean affect change just on a political sense. I mean literally affect matter. Change the material world. And then he goes on, and this is what I shared last week. In the first week, Always Innocent. That free and unconditioned consciousness, which men all briefly experience in certain of their dreams, is the permanent state of a mind of a God-tuned master. Innocent of all personal motives and employing the creative will bestowed on him by the Creator, a yogi rearranges the light atoms of the universe to satisfy any sincere prayer of a devotee. Now don't get hung up on the word when he talks about true saints or a yogi. You all are true saints, and you all are yogis. So that means each and every one of us has the capability, possibility, and opportunity to rearrange light atoms of the universe to satisfy any sincere prayer of our hearts, of a devotee. So we've heard about the miracles from Yogananda, 19th and 20th century. We've heard about the miracles from Jesus. And many times people think, and there are theological teachings that say that, oh, miracles were just for that time. That miracles were just the catalyst to create a movement, but they're not required now. Well, what I want you to know today is that miracles don't stop. That means that you have the opportunity to create, have, and experience a miracle in and as your own life. But in order to know that, we got to talk about miracles. And if we're going to talk about miracles, there's only one place we can go. We got to go to A Course in Miracles, chapter 1, which is an introduction to miracles. Now, this is a lengthy chapter, can't talk about it all. But there's some things that I want to highlight because I believe that, I don't even believe, but I know that everybody in this space is looking or desiring a miracle in their life in some way. Yes, yes, show of hands. Yes, all right, beautiful. So we're all in the right space, beautiful. So then it would be important for us to understand what miracles are all about so that then we can create the miracles in our lives like Yogananda says we can, right? Beautiful, okay. So the first thing we must know, this is the very first thing in the introduction to miracles. What does it say? There is no order of difficulty among miracles. One is not harder or bigger than another. They are all the same. All expressions of love are maximal. Now what does that word maximal mean? It simply means it's the greatest possible or the highest possible. So whatever miracle that occurs, that is the highest miracle possible in the realm of whatever it is that you're trying to create. But what's also interesting, and we must know this, Abraham puts it this way: it's just as easy to manifest or create a castle as it is a button. Requires the same energy. One is not harder or bigger than another. So whatever that miracle you raise your hand about, it's not harder or bigger than any other miracle. You might be thinking, oh, well, I have a job, so I know there are other people that are looking for the miracle of new employment, so, my thing is not as big as theirs. There's no such thing as harder or bigger. It is just as easy to manifest a castle as it is a button. There's no order of difficulty among miracles. Does that help you right now, even as you're thinking about what it is that you're desiring, what it is that you want to create? So let's get that out of our minds. And we're going to talk about why we have to get that out of our minds. Because the fact that we think that our miracle is difficult is why it ain't here yet.
Yeah, say it.
Y'all heard that?
Yeah.
The fact that we think our miracle is difficult is the only reason it's not here yet. So we got to get clear and get that out. So as you're thinking about the miracle, the thing that you want to desire, be, do, or have, and you feel that worry, doubt, and fear shows up that's saying that, oh, but this is hard, oh, but this is big, then what do you say? There is no order of difficulty among miracles. You speak to that thing right now and you tell it the truth. Because that thought is not the truth. There is no order of difficulty in miracles. That's how you cancel that worry. That's how you cancel that doubt and fear. Now the other part, this is important. Miracles occur naturally as expressions of love. The real miracle is the love that inspires them. In this sense, everything that comes from love is a miracle. So there's three things here actually. So first, miracles are natural. Let's think about it this way. If I told you that my sister just won $100 million in the lottery, would you respond with, that's unnatural? Now, you may not have experienced that in your life, right? I haven't won $100 million in my life, but yet I know that that's a natural occurrence. It's happening all the time. Actually, one of my affirmations around the lottery is everyday people win every day. That's true. People win every day. That's just winning the lottery is a natural, normal occurrence. We all know that. We would never say it's unnatural, even if we haven't experienced it. Even if you've never won the lottery, even if you've never had that big check with your name and $100 million written across of it. You know that it's a natural thing. This is how we got to think about miracles. You may not have ever seen or experienced the healing that you need in your body or in your life. You may not have seen that in your family. It doesn't mean that it's unnatural just because you haven't seen it, just because you haven't experienced it. The money that you need, you may never have manifested thousands of dollars when you needed it at the last minute, but you know that it's happening, and it has happened. Miracles are natural. You got to know that. That's not predicated upon your experience, whether it's natural or not. So again, there's no order of difficulties. And miracles are natural, but then here's the other thing. Miracles occur naturally as expressions of love. A miracle is an expression of love. So what does that mean? This takes us even back to this idea, there's no difficulty, because there's nothing difficult about love. Love is everywhere. It permeates all life. The fact that the sun is shining on you is an expression of love. The fact that there's enough air for the billions of people on this planet to breathe, that's love. And so miracles are just as prevalent. And the ability to receive a miracle is just as prevalent as the molecules that are here that allow you to breathe in and breathe out over and over and over and over and over again. It's expression of love. What does that mean? That means that life wants you to experience miracles. Love only desires the highest and best for you. Life wants you to experience this miracle, whatever it is. So there's no difficulty. It's natural. And the thing that will bring it into being through you wants it to happen. Because it's an expression of love. All of a sudden we're removing all the barriers. Yes, yes? All of a sudden we're removing all the mental blocks. All of the things that had us thinking that this wasn't possible, or it's not possible for me, or, well, you know, I look different than that person. Well, this is a unique situation. I get that it happened for that person, but my situation is really unique, and I've been in this thing for a long time. It's an expression of love. It wants you to experience that miracle, and so then it goes on. The real miracle is the love that inspires them. In this sense, everything that comes from love is a miracle. I like hearing that and thinking about that, because if I can in my mind know that I've experienced love ever in my life, then I've experienced miracles in my life. Which means that miracles are not some far off thing outside of me that I can't access. If everything that comes from love is a miracle and I've experienced love, then I'm already a miracle worker and a miracle receiver. So this miracle that you're now trying to call into being through you, as you, in you, is not something that's far off. It's not something that you have to work hard for. Now, as I talked about this idea of there's no order of difficulty in miracles, using that to speak to the thoughts of doubt, using that to speak to the thoughts of fear, this text goes on and it says this: miracles are thoughts. Thoughts can represent lower order or higher order reality. This is the basic distinction between intellectualizing and thinking. One makes the physical and the other creates the spiritual. And we believe in what we make or create. Oh my God, there's so much here. This could be a message all by itself. Miracles are thoughts. Now what the Course also says is that a miracle is a shift in perception. Because what we understand is that whatever is taking place in our life is a projection of what we've been currently thinking or believing. If you look in Autobiography of a Yogi, chapter 30, Yogananda devotes an entire chapter to the law of miracles. That's the title of the chapter. And in there, he talks about the idea, and it's interesting because considering the time that he was living in, he talks about motion pictures. And he talks about how a projector projects light onto the screen, and then the light, the dark and the light and the shadows then create what we see as a real image of people moving and speaking, right? And so similarly, this is what our life really is like, and this is what he's writing in this text, that we can actually understand and look at our life, that our thoughts, first of all, our mind is the projector, and our thoughts are then being projected out on the screen. And this is helpful because we can't know what we're thinking many times until we see it. Our subconscious mind is just running and running and running and running and running and creating and creating and creating and creating. And most of the time, we're so unaware of it. If you really knew that on a 24-hour basis you're thinking, I'm unworthy, would you continue to think that? But we've received programs, right? There are advertisements that in a subtle way are telling you you're unworthy because you're not that person up on the billboard. And we take that in, yeah, you're right, I'm not as pretty as that person, I'm not as thin as that person, I'm not as this as that person, right? And we take that in, our subconscious, and then we begin to create. We got to create other things that match that belief, that match that thought, that we really think we're unworthy. And so gratefully, we project these things on the screen so that we can see it. And so the idea that a miracle is a thought, in truth, a miracle is then the new thought, the shift in perception. So as soon as we begin to believe, shift our perception to this idea of our worthiness, shift our perception to the idea of our holiness, shift our perception to the idea that we are more than good enough, shift our perception to the idea that we are loved beyond measure, shift our perception to the idea that there is nothing shaming us or blaming us, shift our perception to the idea that we're sinless, shift our perception to the idea that we're fearless, shift our perception to the idea that miracles are natural, shift our perception to the idea that there is no order of difficulty in miracles. That's the thought that then becomes the miracle. And the text says it clearly here, thoughts can represent lower order or higher order reality. And so many times what we're experiencing through our thoughts is the lower order reality. And I love to hear it makes this distinction. Intellectualizing and thinking. Many times what we're doing, we think we're thinking, but we're intellectualizing. We think we're thinking, but we're analyzing. We think we're thinking, but we're applying human logic to a non-physical world, where everything originates from the non-physical. So you can't use physical means to change the non-physical, right? And so we recognize that when we move into the higher order, that's when we're thinking. Because that is where creative thought actually comes from, in the higher order. The thought that creates doesn't originate out here in this matter five-sense world. Nothing out here creates. Nothing. Even when we're motivated or inspired by something outside of us, it created something within us that then projected it back out into the world. Nothing out here creates. So one makes the physical and other creates the spiritual. And we believe in what we make or create. This is so powerful. We believe in what we make or we create. So we've created an unwanted situation. And the reason that it still exists, the thing that's still supporting it, is our belief.
Yes.
Because we have to believe in what we make or we create, even when it's unwanted. But again, miracles are thoughts. And a miracle is a new thought, a shift in perception. And a belief, I love Abraham Hicks, a belief is simply a thought that you keep thinking. That's all. Beliefs are not fixed. I mean, this is good news, y'all. This is good news. A belief is just a thought that we keep thinking. It doesn't matter how long you've been thinking it. It doesn't matter if it originated with your mother or your grandmother. We can go on, and even on a scientific level, we can even understand that this permeates our DNA, right? That actually the thoughts that came from our ancestors that we may not want are carried through our DNA. But we also know, science teaches us, that we can change our DNA.
Yes.
Shift in perception. Miracles are thought. Would you call changing your DNA a miracle?
Yes.
And the only way to do that is through thought. Because a miracle is thought. So we believe in what we make or create. And so this is even why, once we've begun to change our lives, the only thing that's required is to keep the momentum around that good thing, that new thing. Keep believing it. When the unexpected check shows up and it's just what you needed, then keep believing that unexpected check show up. When the healing shows up in your body and you don't really know what you did and the doctors are confounded, keep believing that healing shows up in your body and the doctors are confounded.
Yes.
When your romantic relationships or your family relationships are healed and everything, I don't know what happened. He's just different now. She's just talking different now. Believe that things just happen because of your shift. Believe in what you make or create. I'm almost done, y'all. So this last thing has to do with light. And I love where we find the parallels. Of course, the Miracle says something here that Yogananda also says in Autobiography of a Yogi. And I love this because, truth is truth is truth is truth. And if you can't find the parallels between truth, then one of them ain't true, right? And so to think about the fact that Yogananda lived and wrote these words well before Helen Schucman, who is the receiver of the Course, before she ever received the first words in A Course in Miracles, it just reminds us that there is one mind, there's really one voice, there's one truth that is always speaking through all of us throughout the ages, bringing us to a knowing of who and what we are. And so in A Course in Miracles we read this: miracles enable man to heal the sick and raise the dead because he made sickness and death himself and can abolish both. You are a miracle capable of creating in the likeness of your Creator. Everything else is only your own nightmare and does not exist. Only the creations of light are real. So this is beautiful. Miracles enable man to heal the sick and raise the dead because he made sickness and death himself and can abolish both. This is a statement of your power. That which you've created, you have the power to undo.
Yes.
That which you've created, you have the power to make anew. That which you created, you have the power to destroy and rebuild. If you did not create it, you could not change it.
Yes.
Even if it's an unwanted thing. Now here we're talking about sickness and even death. If we did not create it, we couldn't change it because we'd be waiting for something outside of us to listen to us and, oh God, please come down and see about me. We would be waiting for that.
Yes.
And when we believe that, what happens is the collective belief of humanity. Sometimes God shows up and sometimes God doesn't. Then we think we gotta clap loud enough, we gotta sing loud enough, we gotta praise loud enough, we gotta dot every I and cross every T, we gotta dress a certain way in order for this thing to show up. But if you understand, if you baked a cake and you didn't like the way it tastes, what do you have the possibility to do? Throw that cake away and bake a new one. Yes, yes?
Yes.
This is how your life works.
Yes.
This is how your life works. Or even, I love to cook. So sometimes as you're cooking and you're dealing with whatever that dish is, you realize, oh, I need a little more salt. Or, some pepper would be good, right? Or it's not sweet enough. Let me add a little last night. Let me add a little agave to this, right? You have the opportunity because you made it, right? It was my creation. So I have the ability to shift and change it. I can make it salty. I can make it sweet. I can make it sour. I can do whatever I want because it's my creation. And I know that. I'm not waiting for some man in the sky to come down and approve of me and say, Greg, yes, well done, my good and faithful servant. Now you can have the food that you want. I'm not waiting on that because I know that it's my creation. This is how we must address all of life. Even the things that seem big, but what did we already say? There's no order of difficulty in miracles. It's easy to manifest a castle as it is a button. There's no such thing as hard or big, only our belief about it. And so we shift and change that belief. And so here it says everything else is only your own nightmare and does not exist. This is why we say stay woke. If you woke, you ain't having no nightmares. Yes, yes. And then it says only the creations of light are real. Now in the chapter in the Law of Miracles, as I talked about the idea that Yogananda is talking about the projector projecting light onto the screen, what he also talks about, and he breaks down a lot of the science, which I love, and quantum theory, and at this time that he was writing, this was still very new. The nuclear bomb had yet to be used. But there was talk about understanding the power of atoms and understanding that an atom was actually not a physical thing, but it was actually energy itself. And so if you split the atom, it would then give off all of this powerful energy that we know as nuclear power. And so ultimately, science and scientists were coming to this ultimate idea of recognizing that everything that we think of or know as physical isn't physical. It's just a manifestation of light. And so this is why the Course is saying only the creations of light are real. Yogananda says in the Law of Miracles, the Law of Miracles is operable by any man who has realized, or woman, who has realized that the essence of creation is light. What I love to think about, I was having this conversation with my TM teacher. When we start to understand and look at the molecular level of things, and we move ourselves down to that level, we all learned in science, you have the nucleus and then you have the protons and electrons that are spinning all around, right? We all know that. Now, on the level of that proton and neutron, from our models, it looks like they're really close to each other, right? Like a couple inches, right? But in truth, at that level, they're like basketball fields or basketball courts or football fields away from each other. Like, there's so much space between them. And so when we understand that, then this is when we can begin to understand that how and why we could actually manipulate matter, or why beings are able to walk through walls. Because the ascended masters understand this idea that everything is light, and they understand that actually between these individual items is infinite space. And so of course I can walk through infinite space. The law of miracles is operable by any human who has realized that the essence of creation is light. Now, I also like to think about that in terms of what we talked about as miracles being the expression of love. Because when we send thoughts and prayers, we say love and light. Yes, yes? And so if we understand then that it's an expression of love, we can also say that it's an expression of light. Because only the creations of light are real. And we recognize that light is what we want to create. We want to, in some way, shape or form, whatever the unwanted thing is a form of darkness in our life. How do you get rid of darkness? Darkness has no source. The description of darkness is simply the absence of light. So when you want to bring a miracle, you have to come to this understanding that the essence of creation is light. He even talks about in that chapter, what's the first thing that we read in the book of Genesis when God is created? What was the first thing that was created? Light, right? And we were made in its likeness and image, which is also light. Final point. The text says that miracles should inspire gratitude, not awe. We should thank God for what He really is. The children of God are very holy, and the miracle honors their holiness. I'm going to say this another way. You are very holy, and the miracle honors your holiness. So, when we're experiencing the miracle and when the miracle has come forth, don't be in awe. Why? Because miracles are natural, right? But you're going to be grateful, just as we know winning $100 million in the lottery is natural. You would be ecstatic. You would be grateful. Yes, yes?
Yes.
But not in awe. And then it says, we should thank God for what we really are.
Yes.
Because what we're doing when we perform the miracle, we're demonstrating our holiness. We're demonstrating how loved we are. We're demonstrating how seen we are. We're demonstrating how supported we are. We're demonstrating that there's something that's always available to us, and it is we're never at the end of our rope. It's never too dark. It's never too late. It's never all is lost. That's never the truth. We're demonstrating that when we demonstrate miracles. We're demonstrating our very holiness, because the children of God, and we are all the children of God, are very holy. And the miracle honors our holiness. In the text, it also says that, in truth, miracles aren't designed for the spectacle, right? Like the old tent revivals where you go to somebody and he's going to or she's going to perform all these miracles, and then that makes everybody believe. That's not the point of miracles.
Yes.
It says that miracles are for believers.
Yes.
To reinforce our demonstration, to demonstrate and reinforce what we know to be true. Because if we're not performing miracles in our lives on a daily basis, and it says that miracles can and should occur every day, and they do, expressions of love happen every day, yes, yes?
Yes.
When we're not demonstrating miracles on a daily basis, we forget. If we're not experiencing miracles, oh my God, we will definitely forget. And then we'll just be talking about, remember way back in 1984 when my uncle, he was sick and we prayed and the Lord healed him, right? And then that's all we talk about is the one miracle in 1984. But in truth, as believers, and when we talk about believers, what we're talking about, not believers, I believe in Jesus Christ and He died for my sins. I'm not talking about that. As believers in the truth of the power that dwells within you.
Yes.
Believers that know that there's no order of difficulty in miracles. Believers that know that miracles are an expression of love, and that love permeates your very being, down to the cellular level of your being. Believers that know that miracles are creations of light, and creations of light are the only thing that's real. So if I see anything other than light, this is not real. That's why it will change. Believers that know that miracles are thoughts or a shift in perception. And so right here and right now, I'm choosing to shift my perception. I know that I am healed. I'm choosing to shift my perception. I know that I am worthy. I know that I am prosperous. I know that I'm abundant. The same abundance that I see all over this planet is my abundance.
Yes.
I look for it. I wait for it. I watch for it right here and right now. We as believers, those who have embraced this metaphysical truth, we are called to know and demonstrate that miracles don't stop. In this moment, I ask everybody to stand. I'm looking for a miracle. I expect the impossible. My dear sisters and brothers, there's no order of difficulty in your miracle. Before you entered this space, you may have thought that that thing was huge.
Yes.
Before you entered this space, you may have simply thought that it was impossible because you've never seen it.
Yes.
No one had ever articulated that you could be, you could do, you could have this thing. There is no order of difficulty in miracles. You are a miracle worker. Live up to your name.
Yes.
You are a miracle worker. Live up to your glory. You are a miracle worker. Live up to your holiness. You are a miracle worker. Live up to your power. You are a miracle worker. Live up to your greatness. You are a miracle worker. Live up to your brilliance. We have been waiting for the world to change. That is the opposite way to live life.
Yes.
The truth is, we only have to change the thoughts within us. The truth is, we only have to shift our perception, and the miracle must be. The truth is, we must remember that love is all there is, which means that miracles are all there is. Every day, new miracles we see. Every day, new miracles we experience. Every day, new miracles. And so as we take a deep breath in, and we release. Right here and right now, Mother, Father, God, I know who and what you are. I know you are light itself. I know that you are love itself. I know that you are the miracle that begets miracles, that begets miracles, that begets miracles. I know this because I am standing here. I am a miracle. I know this because as I look and see each and every one of my brothers and sisters standing here, I know that they are miracles, for they are one with you. We are one with you. We are the miracle manifested. We are the good idea manifested. We are love in form. As we stand here now in the recognition of you and in the recognition of our unity with you, I now speak this word in faith, knowing that we can be, do, or have whatever we want. I know and I speak to the doubt and fear right here and right now. We are not in doubt. We are not in fear. We are not in lack. We speak this truth right now. There is no order of difficulty in miracles. We speak to that voice that says, oh, but it's hard. And we say there is no order of difficulty in miracles. That voice that says, but I've never seen it. We say there is no order of difficulty in miracles. To that voice that says, just stay home. Just don't even go outside anymore. We say that there is no order of difficulty in miracles.
Yes.
To that voice that person that is weary and is just tired of moving through life. I remind you today that miracles are an expression of love, and love is everywhere. Even above the rain that we are experiencing today, the sun is still shining. The rays of the sun are an expression of love. The twinkle of the stars are an expression of love. We didn't have to do anything for it. We didn't have to be good enough for it. We didn't have to be perfect for it. We didn't have to get degrees for it. We didn't have to do anything except be, and it is. I recognize that in the same way that the sun shines upon us, so our miracles desire to shine upon us right here and right now. Life wants our lives to be miraculous. It is life's desire to remove the darkness and flood our very existence with light. We recognize that that which is made of light and that which is made of love is the only thing that is real. And so we turn our attention away from anything that is unlike love. We turn our attention away from fear. We turn our attention away from doubt. We turn our attention away from worry. And we place our attention back on that which is always true, that we are holy. We turn our attention back on what is always true. We remain as God created us. We turn our attention on that which is already always true, that we are perfect, whole, and complete. We turn our attention on what is true. We can be, do, or have whatever we want. Speak that to your desire right now. I can be who or have whatever I want. I can be, do, or have whatever I want. We know this to be the absolute truth of our life. And right here and right now, I stand with you. I stand here with you and I know that all things are possible. I stand here with you right now and I know that the best is yet to come. I stand here with you knowing that your good will get gooder and gooder and gooder and gooder. I know it's bad English, but it sounds good. Your good will get gooder and gooder and gooder and gooder. For I know that there is no ceiling on your good. I know that the universe itself, life itself, is designed to expand. It is designed to be more. And we are an expression of that. So we allow more to now express as our creations. We now allow more to express as the life that we want. We now allow more to express as the life that we see. We now allow more to express as the life that we desire. And I release this prayer now with a knowing, with a confidence that the word that we speak and the expectation that we send out upon the screen of life must be seen,